my speed of talking, so I hope we will be flexible with this. Okay, so this is an exercise we just did for this conference actually. This is a much, well not much, but this is a better title I think from the one we gave for the abstract. So yeah, I work at the National University of Mexico in this Center for Research on Ecosystems. It's based in Morelia, Michoacán. These are my co-authors, are mainly my students. Most of them are postgraduates. And the content of the talk is going to be like this, more or less like how to structure a paper. So we're talking about tropical dry forests, our region of study, the research questions. In terms of the analytical framework, I will be talking only about ecosystem services. This we all know, but I will present something in the results using the framework of the commons, and then something, a little discussion about if we can govern this thing tourism. Well, this is a rough map of tropical dry forest in Mexico. It's, as it says there, 60% of the tropical vegetation of the very the forest that all people know are the rainforest, and dry forests are not that famous, but they cover more of the tropical vegetation of the country. In Latin America and in the world is the same. They are a very important type of tropical forests. Their characteristics are like they are like shorter trees, thin, very diverse in terms of species, and the main characteristic is that we get, like in this side, for instance, 4 months of rain, and then you have like 8 months of very dry season, no rain, and most of the trees and plants lost the leaves. It's deciduous forest. In the place where we are working, it's on the Jalisco coast between Puerto Vallarta and Manzanillo, you may have heard. And it's because the National University started a biological research station in 1971, and then in 1993 put in private lands from a private owner, an Englishman actually, who agreed to have some of his lands put with the university lands, convert those into a biosphere reserve. So we have that. This is how it looks inside the biosphere reserve in the rainy season, of course, and this is how it looks outside. It's mainly a mosaic of different types of vegetation. We have agricultural fields. We have lots of pastures for cattle. That's in the rainy season. This is in the dry season. So surrounding the biosphere reserve, what we have is ejidos. My colleague here was talking about ejidos. 70% of the lands in the municipalities surrounding the biosphere reserve in this coast, as in most of Mexico, are ejidos or indigenous communities' lands. These ejidos in this coast are of very recent origin. There are the dates there, and more or less that's the biosphere reserve. Those are some of the ejidos where we have worked for the last 8-10 years. As we can see, there are ejidos that are larger than the biosphere reserve. On the other hand, this coast has beautiful scenery, really beautiful beaches. So there is a tourism industry in the place, and we will be looking at it. Our research questions are like, which ecosystem services allow the development of the tourist activity? Can ecosystem services be analyzed as commons? That's our exercise here. How are the benefits from tourists distributed among stakeholders? What are the views of different stakeholders regarding tourist development in the region? And finally, this question that we will not answer, but it's good to have it. Can tourists based on common ecosystem services be governed? In terms of the analytical framework, we base our work on the conceptual framework of the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, which gives, well, that's the definition, very simple. The benefits, ecosystem services are the benefits people obtain from ecosystems, and they have like 4 categories. The first one is supporting services, which are like the basic ecological processes that sustain life on Earth. Then we have provisioning services, more like the tangible goods, like examples wood or food. Then we have regulating services, and these are like regulated ecosystem processes that give benefits to humans, such as water purification, climate regulation, disturbance prevention, that kind of thing. And finally, we have another category called cultural services. There has been a lot of discussion about this last one, but it's still a useful one. And it goes with the non-material benefits that people obtain from ecosystems, such as spiritual values, knowledge systems, and we will see now with tourism.